The ski collision civil trial against Gwyneth Paltrow entered its second week. And Terry Sanderson, the man suing Paltrow over the crash, is expected to take the stand today. Now, he claims to have sustained lasting physical injuries after the actress crashed into him at a Utah ski resort 7 years ago. But Paltrow claims he skied into her, and she is now countersuing. Here's a piece of her testimony from Friday.
I was skiing, and two skis came between my skis, forcing my legs apart, and then there was a body pressing against me, and there was a very strange grunting noise. So my brain was trying to make sense of what was happening. I thought, is this a practical joke? Is someone like doing something perverted? This is really, really strange. My mind was going very, very quickly, and I was trying to ascertain what was happening.
All right, so joining us now is Emily D. Baker. She's a former Los Angeles County prosecutor. Thanks for joining us again. It's good to see you.
Good to see you again.
So that was quite interesting testimony. Vlad and I were talking about it earlier, and I was like, well, she could have just said somebody slammed into me, which is what I expected. She was sort of very descriptive. How compelling was her testimony?
I thought her testimony was very clear, which made it very compelling because she didn't back down, but she also wasn't argumentative with counsel, who had some very odd moments in, oh, you're 5'10", I'm so jealous. So I thought she was very composed on the stand and didn't get combative in any way, which is something you really want to look for, especially in celebrity witnesses and litigants who aren't used to being pressed on things in the way you get pressed in a courtroom. So I thought her testimony came across very well.
Yeah, so that moment that you mentioned, in addition to other questioning that she faced about her relationship with Taylor Swift, you mentioned there were some really odd moments. This is an interesting moment.
They asked her about her relationship with Taylor Swift?
Well, relationship. Let's play this.
A couple years ago in 2020, you didn't know anything about Taylor Swift's $1 symbolic damage lawsuit?
Just relevant. Counsel?
Yeah, because I asked her about it at the time, and she denied it.
Okay.
Correct.
Can you answer the question?
Relevance. I was not aware at the time.
Are you good friends with Taylor Swift?
No.
Relevance.
All right, so let me just, that soundbite, if you're just listening to it, you're wondering what's going on here. Taylor Swift, a couple of years ago, sued someone symbolically for $1. And so the lawyer for Sanderson was trying to say, you're countersuing for $1 in an attempt to create some sympathy for the jury and for people who are watching this. I mean, is that how you read it, prosecutor?
Taylor Swift wasn't really the first person who invented the $1 symbolic judgment. It was such an odd question. And then Gwyneth Paltrow's attorney chips in, well, why don't you ask her about Oprah? It was such a strange moment with all of the name drops. And Gwyneth Paltrow did, I think, handle it well, sitting there.
Look at that look on her face. It's just like, look, it's an incredibly weird story because essentially it's a he said, she said. But the thing that I find most interesting, Emily, is that there supposedly is video. There was a GoPro video.
No, but then the daughter said she was incorrect about that.
She said it's lost in the internet.
She said she never saw a GoPro video at all and doesn't know that it actually existed. At least that's the testimony that I saw. But Emily, you can sort of fill us in.
There was conversation about a GoPro, but no one's ever seen it. So I don't know if it was an assumption that there was GoPro or whether the plaintiff thought at one point there was GoPro, but either way, it's not come into this court. And Paltrow's attorney has made much of these emails between the daughters and the plaintiff where he's saying, I'm famous, and he's saying there's GoPro. And then we don't see any of those things anymore.
Okay, so speaking of that, Terry Sanderson is expected to testify today based on what we've already heard. And I think they both agree that Gwyneth Paltrow was downhill from him. I think they both agree with that, but you can clarify if I'm wrong. What does he have to do on the stand then to sort of discredit her recollection of what happened?
His story is completely different from hers, saying he was downhill, she was skiing out of control. He heard someone screaming. He actually said, like King Kong coming out of the jungle, and then
Whoa.
slammed into him. So he has a very vivid description, but he also suffered a brain injury as a result of this. And he's going to be questioned quite a lot about his memory, because it seems that his memory maybe is colored by his friend that says he witnessed the crash and that he doesn't remember the crash. He says that he was face down unconscious in the snow for minutes and no one did anything. And then he was gotten to his feet and skied further down the hill before he called ski patrol. A very different recitation of events than what Paltrow had to say. And it'll be interesting to see how well he holds up to what should be a vigorous cross-examination.
Wow.
So beyond their testimony of Paltrow and Sanderson, what do you think will be the most important factors considered by the jury during their deliberations? I mean, if you're just watching this from the outside, you're thinking to yourself, people crash into each other all the time on ski slopes. It's usually, typically not intentional. I mean, that just happens. I mean, I've seen it. People are sometimes reckless. That's true. But even somebody who's reckless is not intentionally trying to hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
And here they're suing for negligence, so it doesn't have to be intentional. It just has to be that somebody breached the rules of the slope and they ran into a downhill skier. But what's going to come up for this jury is likability and believability. And I wonder how much they will ask who has something to gain here. What does Gwyneth Paltrow have to gain by this?
Fascinating.
Indeed.
Emily, always love talking to you, breaking these cases down for us. You're so great at it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.